Welcome to another episode of The Brand Called You, a podcast and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. I am your host, Ashutosh Garg, and today I'm delighted to welcome a veteran of the automobile industry who decided to hang up his gloves and get into the social sector, Mr. Rakesh Jinsi. Rakesh, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Ashutosh.
Rakesh is the president of SOS Children's Villages of India. He's a senator at SOS Children's Villages International. And as I just mentioned, he's a veteran of the automobile industry, having worked for Eicher, Hero Motors, Fiat, and many more. So Rakesh, let's start our conversation about the SOS Children's Villages of India. We've got a very young community of people who listen to us. Tell me about what SOS Children's Villages does.
SOS Children's Villages is it's an international organization, if one were to use that word. Actually, it's a federation, and it's spread all across all the world.
Yeah.
And each country, wherever it operates, it's a separate legal entity. It's a local entity, and all these national associations, as we call, they come together as a federation, and that's what is called as SOS Children's Villages International. But coming back, there is a common thread which runs across all the SOS Children's Villages anywhere in the world. So this provides care to children who have lost parental care. And the belief is that it is easier to provide for food, shelter, and clothing. But what the child loses when the child gets separated or loses the family is the sense of identity.
Correct.
Because we are what we are because of our family, our friends, our social circle. And that is the biggest loss which a child faces at the moment when the child loses the parents. So this model of child care, which is SOS Children's Villages, what it does, takes the child into its fold. And there is the SOS Children's Village is not a traditional village. A sort of a gated community. Each location has about 10 to 15 houses. House becomes home to 10 children.
Okay.
And these 10 children, they are taken care by a lady. And this family of 10 children and the mother stay together till the time the child becomes 20 or 22 years old.
Okay.
So, and family, this group of children and the lady, they become a family. The children become brothers, sisters, and the lady becomes a mother. And this unit stays together till the time the children become independent.
Wow.
Even after they become independent, these are the relationships which they carry because they are brothers, sisters, they are mother, and carry this relationship even when they leave the care of SOS Children's Village. So this is a model. So what happens? There is a home, there is a community, which is a village, there is a family, and then there is that circle which is created. So essentially is what SOS Children's Villages does. It was set up after the Second World War by Austrian pediatrician, Dr. Hermann Weiner, who himself had lost his parents at an early age. And just after the Second World War, he was going around and he saw a very strange thing. On one side, there were children who had become orphans. And then the other side, there were these ladies who had become widows. Either of them didn't know what to do with their lives. And he came up with this idea that why don't I put the two of them together so that they both add meaning to one another's lives. And that's how this model has come up. It's been there for 70 odd years now.
Amazing. So my next logical question to you, Rakesh, is that how do you determine which lady should be the mother and which 8-10 children should be a part of her family?
Okay, so children, there is an essential requirement, which is that the child has to be double orphan, what we call double orphan. That means both the father and mother don't have to be there. And I'll come back to that. Why is that? And as far as this lady is concerned, and now I'm talking more specific to India,
Mhm.
though it will be by and large similar all across the world.
Mhm.
So essentially, we look for ladies who have decided for whatever reason not to have their own family.
Mhm.
So they could be reasons of, death of husband, divorce, or some family personal trauma. These ladies decide that we will not have our own
Right.
personal life.
Mhm.
And what we do in India is that when we advertise and we recruit these ladies,
Mhm.
they are normally about 22 to 25, 26.
Mhm.
They go through a 2-year training program. We have a what we call a mother's training school in Faridabad.
Mhm.
So they go through a 2-year training program, which is 6 months theory, 6 months practice, 3 months theory, the 4 modules.
Mhm.
And at the end of the 4th module, they are put in charge. They're put alongside a mother who is already there. And then that's the time when they say we call them an aunt or an auntie.
Mhm.
And then when at the end of these 2-year period, when we find the ladies who have the tenacity and also desire to invest in childcare, we then make them full-fledged mothers. They are given the charge of an independent house.
Mhm.
But just to give you an example how difficult this is,
Mhm.
if we recruit 100 trainee mothers,
Mhm.
at the end of the 2 years, we have only 50 left with us because 50 of them decide it's not our cup of tea.
Mhm.
Thereafter, the attrition is maybe just about 0.1, 0.2%, primarily because of health or some other reasons. Just to add, what also happens, the mother retires at the age of 60, and after retirement, she gets a lifelong pension. Plus, she also gets a hostel, retired mother's hostel facility.
Wow.
But actually, what happens is that, in a lifetime, the mother would have settled about 25, 30 children. By the time she retires, most of them are married, they are parents. So she has become a grandmother.
Mhm.
And normally there is a fight between the children that, look, the mother is going to stay with us.
Yeah.
So ultimately she lands up staying 2 months, 2 years here, 3 years
Mhm.
here. So she never really uses the retired mother's hostel facility. So
Wow.
that's about it.
Wow. And at what age does the mother start to get children? I mean, you said 8 to 10. Are they different ages or similar ages?
You talk about the lady or the children?
No, no. The lady you said after 24, 25, 26 and with 2 years
Right.
training. But when you decide to set up the mother in her own home and you said there are 8 to 10 children, what are
Yeah.
the ages of these children?
See, normally we try to take children as early as, of
Mhm.
course, it's not totally in our hand.
Yeah.
We try earlier. We used to get most of the children in the age group of 3 to 5.
Mhm.
Last couple of years, that age has changed to up to 10.
Okay.
So, but when you come to a lady and a house where the mother is there, she will have children across all ages.
Mhm.
Could have somebody who has come in at 3 years, somebody who's already at 8 years, and then continuing. And then the moment the child becomes 18 or 19, the child moves to a youth facility.
Mhm.
So there's a vacancy. And then the vacancy is filled by whatever child is available or whatever child needs care.
Mhm.
So there is no set rule that the lady will have only this age of children. So she gets children of all ages with her.
Okay. And, raising one child or two children is a challenge, the amount of care and sustenance they need. What is how does SOS Children's Villages in India support the mother in terms of, nurturing the child, educating the child, making sure the health of the child is okay? There are laws in India which, talk about adoption and everything else. Those itself must be a big challenge for you.
Sure. So what happens, each village or what location we call,
Mhm.
anywhere between 10 to 15 homes. So what happens, there is a project in charge who we call as the village director. So village director is residential. He stays on the campus with his facility 24/7.
Mhm.
Then we also have a group of co-workers, what we call, and each co-worker supports 3 to 4 family homes, which is 3 to 4 mothers. So this entire chain of the village director, the co-worker, and the mother, they together form this care ecosystem for the child. And as you rightly say, bringing up 1 or 2 children itself is quite a challenge. Bringing up 10 or 8, 7 or 10 children is quite a challenge. But then there is this entire team of three people who look after it. However, having said that, the front is always the mother.
Mhm.
The mother always retains the real leadership position, and whether it is a co-worker or the village director, they only support from behind.
Mm.
The interactions with the child are done only by the mother.
Fascinating. And how many such homes do you have, or how many villages do you have in India?
In India, we have 32 villages,
Okay,
and we take care of close to 7,000 children.
amazing.
And in India, we have been operating for more than 60 years now. Actually, it was started in 64. Just to add, it was started by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru,
Mhm.
and Indira Gandhi was the first chairperson. But after she became the prime minister, then it moved on. So, and we have close to 7,000 children with us under our care. And till now, more than 8,000 children have passed through SOS, and they are leading their independent lives.
Wow. And do these children give back? People who have
On voluntary basis, we don't force them. Yes, many of them do.
Mhm.
Just to complete the total picture,
Mhm.
SOS also runs about 14 education institutions.
Mhm.
We have a large community program. So just to clarify, this is a curative program. The child has already lost parents.
Mm.
We take care of it's sort of curing it.
Mm.
An equally large program, which is a preventive program. We identify families where children are at risk of losing parental care,
Mhm.
etc., etc.
Mm.
We work with those families for 5 to 7 years, making them self-reliant.
Mm.
At the end of 5 years, when we step back, they'll be able to take care of their children. So we have another 30,000 children under our care in this, what we call family strengthening program.
Wow. So, when I was reading about you, there was a very interesting comment which you said, no child should grow up alone. And I think what you're telling me is you're really living up to those words that, every child has a mother and friends and brothers and sisters.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And how does that impact the upbringing of the child and, the social kind of networks that the child is able to develop? Because I'm sure the child is aware that her or his natural parents are no longer there.
True. So we have actually a very standardized laid out plan.
Mhm.
At what age and in what process, by what process we make the child aware
Mhm.
that the child had a biological family, and for whatever reasons the family is not there. So this is in a way a foster family.
Mhm.
By then, the relationships with the mother and the children who are there, who are brothers, sisters, they are so strong.
Mhm.
Loss does not impact the child.
Mhm.
And, actually it's very unique. I'll come back to it. Why I said that there is a reason why we decide that lady will not have family of her own.
Mhm.
It's because this entire model of SOS rests on the whole thing that there is a relationship or a bonding which is there between the lady and the children. If the child has one parent alive, then the child knows that there is a biological background.
Correct.
Then this mother, then she becomes just about a maid servant or a governess. The moment the child knows that I don't have anybody, then the whole soul, everything becomes this mother in his or her life. So these relationships are what endure. And this is actually what is the uniqueness of SOS model, that is what provides this child who has otherwise lost parents, has no social circle, actually replicates a family closest to that of a biological family.
Wow. And where do you get the funding for?
It is charity.
Mhm.
We have a large fundraising group. We have a team, and we raise about 100 plus crores a year, which is primarily individuals as well as corporate. But of course, this CSR bill, which was started by the government some years back, that has been a big help. Corporates have now come forward to support us.
Amazing. My next question, Rakesh, is that are the challenges that SOS Children's Villages faces in India similar to what they face all over the world?
And no.
Mhm.
There are cultural similarities and there are cultural dissimilarities.
Mhm.
In the more developed part of the world, when we go into the West, it's different. You may not have, there are not biological orphans.
Mhm.
They're not, orphans by death.
Mhm.
They are social orphans. They are broken families.
Okay.
So the need for care and protection is very different in those countries as compared to India. But
Okay.
there are countries which are very similar to India:
Mhm.
Nepal, Bangladesh, many other countries. Then socialistic countries where the environment is different: Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia. Those are very different. There is a strong government network which works alongside SOS to provide care and protection to such children. So there are similarities, there are dissimilarities, cultural, situational. The world is not all that uniform.
Amazing. So my next set of questions are about the work that you do, and I'd love to get some understanding. And I picked these up from your website. You say that you safeguard children, you advocate for children's rights, you teach and train, and you protect children in emergencies.
Right.
Help me understand each of these with an example.
Okay, so I'll start with the last one first.
Okay.
Our primary focus is children who need care and protection. Most of the programs which have been established in India, most, not all, most of the programs which have been established in India, or for that matter, quite a few places in the world, emanate from an emergency. Say, for example, in India, Latur, we had the earthquake. So a whole lot of people lost lives. Children became homeless and they didn't have anybody to care. SOS went there, set up a camp. We started looking after, we providing relief, which was an emergency. And in the process, we identified children who had lost parents. When we had identified children who lost parents, we identified the need of setting up a village. So we approached the government, we got land, we set up the village, and then all those children came to us. So this is an emergency linkage, which we talked about. Same is the case with Bhuj, Bhopal, many of the Nagapatnam, all these things which were related to disasters. When the second one, we say that, look, we safeguard children. Now, the fact that we take responsibility of 7,000 children all across the country, across 32 locations, and obviously we are providing this care through a set of people, and people are people.
Correct.
If you are, this as an organization, we have close to 1,500, 2,000 employees, which is others, village directors, co-workers, so on. Obviously, there will be situations where all employees are not all that, I would say, they don't turn out to be all that reliable. So what we have done, we have put in place a very robust child protection and a child care system, standardizes procedures and processes how all child care would be administered in our different locations.
Okay.
So that is that we provide care and protection children, we provide we safeguard children. And the last one, which you say that we advocate, we work closely with the government. We run a lot of programs with the government, alongside, in partnership with the government. We have a foster care program where a government identifies children who need care, they identified foster parents. So we work with the government to provide care to these children. Similarly, we have a kinship care where parents are not there, but relatives are willing to take care. So these are different programs we work alongside government, and in the process, we become the knowledge partners to government on issues of childcare, and we then try and government does involve us in framing laws. Lot of inputs on the current Juvenile Justice Act, JJ Act. Even I was involved in framing that. So that's how we try and work on advocacy. We are not that much in protecting the rights. We would much rather demonstrate by work rather than talk about.
You also, the fourth one was you teach and train.
Yes. So teach and train, as I said, there's one part of teaching is literal
institutions. Yeah.
We have our education institutions. We run schools for not only our children, but for the city, and we have reasonably good schools. So now, training is concerned, we run training programs for different organizations who are in similar work. And we have, of late, we have also got into partnerships, and government are sending their employees, who are involved in childcare, to be trained into different methodologies and different processes of childcare. And what are the safety, what are safeguards to be built into the processes. That is the other training part of it, which is there.
Very interesting. So Rakesh, I've got time for one more question.
Right.
And I wanted to end this on a high, if I can use that term. You must have looked after thousands of children since you started in 1964. Have you tracked or kept track of the students or the children who have gone through your villages? And are there any amazing successes, without of course giving names, that you can recall?
Of course. I'm glad that you asked this. On a regular basis, we run a study, what we call tracking footprints. Maybe I'll send you one of the publications.
I'd love to see it. Yeah.
Of course, we do try and see how our children are doing. And it is amazing. And as we look at it, a successful settlement is not just money or position or placement. I think we try and define success in a wholesome manner. We want to give children who become meaningful and contributing members of the society. Of course, in the paucity of time, I could share, we enable all our children to pursue studies and professional careers depending upon their potential and capabilities. No question asked. So we have children who have become doctors, scientists, entrepreneurs, who also become drivers, office assistants, mechanics, so on and so forth. Coming back to your basic question, we have amazing children who have joined the armed forces, who have become who have gone on the flying side. Some who have become scientists. They have done fantastic research work, and those who have settled abroad. We have, actually a replication of the society we live in. Wow. You find SOS children mirroring exactly the society which is there in India.
Fantastic. Rakesh, on that note, thank you so much for speaking to me. Thank you for talking to me at such length about the incredible work you and SOS Children's Villages are doing for the thousands and thousands of children. I had no idea about the incredible depth of work that you do with 7,000 children, or all the educational institutions, and how you're actually, giving a new life to children who have lost both their parents. Thank you again and good luck.
Thank you very much for having me on this show. Very nice meeting you.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the brand called You.